Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on Oweleke TV. My name is JIBRIN. As usual, we shall be having our guest, Barrister Austin Manta, as our exclusive analyst today. And we shall be talking about, on this angle today, we shall be talking about conflicting reports on government mask $600 million port deal. We all know what happened earlier in the week, the kind of embarrassment we got from our government as usual. And this is not the first time we are getting such embarrassment from Tinubu's government. And I think Buhari's government did the same thing. We remember, I don't know, a barrister, which is it under Tinubu? It should be Buhari, either the last days of Buhari or Tinubu, we had this issue of airport, this fictitious acquisition of plane for from, is it Somalia? Which country? Can you remember
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, or whatever. What was it during this regime?
No, it was in the twilight of Buhari's regime.
Buhari, okay, yeah, okay, all right. And this is we all know, like, this mask of a thing. Mask, for those of you who don't know, mask is in fact, I am one of their registered shipping agents. Actually, they are the shipping company that my company uses for all their shipments. And mask is a ship, as I said, it's an international. In fact, it's one of the largest, the most popular, one of the among the top 3 in the world, a sort of shipping line. I think either top 3 or top 2. So I think they are the second biggest or whatever. So yes, we all know what happened earlier in the week, where we have this issue of the government coming out to rejoice and congratulate, pat themselves, excuse me, at the back, and telling us that they have signed this wonderful deal with Mask. And unfortunately, Mask, we will be talking about that with discussing that with Barrister Manta. So, and the deal, the Mask came out to say something different, sort of. So we shall be talking about that. Then we shall be talking about Peter Obi criticism of Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. We all know what is happening. This road has been a very, very everything about this road construction. This Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is just shrouded in all manner of controversy. It just shrouded in all manner of stench. Let me use that word. And we shall also be talking about NLC demands for over 600,000 Naira minimum wage. These are the topic, and if time permits, we shall actually touch one or two other stuff that is making the rounds in the polity. But for now, these are the 3 topics we shall be limiting this show to today. And as such, I think let's delve into the nitty-gritty of the topic of the day. Barrister Manta, thank you so very much for joining us once again.
Thank you.
Yes. Can you? I don't know if you are up to date with this conflict. What is the genesis and the revelation of this conflicting report from the government over a kind of construction of ports. It's a kind of facility at the Lagos port, seaport. What can you tell us about the whole thing, and what is your opinion about the conflict?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. As you well know, these people in the government today they are fond of rushing to the press to make unverified claims that turn out to be false. Even before this very incident, if you recall the time that President Tinubu went to the UAE, to Dubai, and there was a dispute between Nigeria and United Arab Emirates, and they banned their flights from coming to Nigeria, and they banned Nigerians from going to Dubai. One of the reasons was the foreign exchange held back by the airline, Emirates Airlines. All their earnings in Nigeria foreign exchange were blocked. They could not repatriate them. The government decided to take action, stop them from flying to Nigeria, and stop Nigerian flights from going to Dubai. Tinubu went to Dubai. As soon as he started having discussions with the ruler of Dubai, this very character, Ajuri Ngerere, who is the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, went to the press and said excitedly that the issue has been resolved. Flights will resume by the following week between Nigeria and UAE, and the restriction on Nigeria traveling has been lifted. Within a few hours, officials of the UAE came out and Dubai came out to say, no, that is not a true statement, that they had not reached any such conclusion. One would have hoped that from that kind of experience, you will now be reticent, you will be careful in rushing to the press to make some kind of, those kind of statements to show that, oh, your government is working. But again, you now see this incident where a few days ago, this same gentleman went to the press and said that they have secured $600 million worth of funds to rehabilitate existing port facilities in Nigeria from Maersk. Maersk, as you know, is one of the foremost leading service providers in ports across the world. So the intention was to say, oh, if this multinational company, the leading provider of services in the ports, has such confidence in Nigeria's economy and is going to invest so much in the ports, then we are on the right course, we are achieving something, we are progressing, we are making progress. So that is what they wanted to portray. But no sooner had he said this thing than the company came out and said, no, 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 we have not reached such an agreement with Nigeria. So you see, it's very embarrassing for the top spokesperson of the president to be making this kind of cheap pronouncement only hours later for the person or the company involved to come out and contradict them. It's an embarrassing state of affairs for the country, not only for the man that is speaking for the presidency itself, and by extension for the country. And the president should put a hold and stop to that kind of childish behavior. At that point, you are vexed and learned in the issues that you are going to press to talk about on behalf of the president. And you are supposed to have the permission of the president to release some of those kind of statements. So I happening to our government. And don't forget, on this very issue of funding for our ports, to improve our ports facility, the Nigerian Ports Authority had in November of last year announced a 1.1 billion project. I don't know where they claimed. I don't know where they got the money.
Can you please repeat what you just, because the line, the network seems to be breaking. Can you repeat what you just quoted now?
Yes. I'm trying to say that on this issue of port rehabilitation improvement, in November of last year, the Nigerian Ports Authority $1 billion rehabilitation port fund. Yes, the point I'm trying to make is that on this issue of port rehabilitation or improvement in port facilities, there is a lot of confusion. I mentioned that back in November of last year, 2023, the Nigerian Ports Authority announced a $1.1 billion port rehabilitation fund. They did not say where they sourced the $1.1 billion fund, but they announced it. Now, shortly before last month, shortly before that $600 million fund from Maersk, the same Port Authority have secured $700 million facility to rehabilitate. Now, these are the major ports in Nigeria. So you now have $700 million to rehabilitate Tinkan. You have another issue of $1.1 billion port rehabilitation project. And what are we talking about? And where are these funds sourced from? So let the government clarify. Just coming out to make statements has become the order.
All right. Sorry, viewers. I think there was a network issue. Sorry for that break. Can you continue, please, Barrister Manta?
I don't know which point I should.
Yeah, you were talking about, you were mentioning several amounts, several figures that government has actually earmarked for this same port facility, for upgrading the port facility, seaport facility.
Yes, I mentioned that in November 2023, the Nigerian Port Authority announced a $1.1 billion port rehabilitation fund. Now, only last month, just a week before the president's spokesman talked about this Maersk funding of $600 million, the same Nigerian Port Authority announced that they have secured a $700 fund.
700 million. Is it
$700 million? Sorry, $700 million funds to rehabilitate the Apapa and Tinkan ports. Now, if you know Nigeria, Apapa and Tinkan are the main ports of Nigeria. So you now have three funding: the $600 million they are talking about from Maersk, the $700 million that was announced a week earlier, and the $1.1 billion that was announced a few months back. So we don't know what is going on. What really is the issue? Where are they sourcing for the funds? And what is on ground? So you see, there is a level of confusion in the government. Is it that the Nigerian Port Authority are not acting in synergy with the federal government? They are on their own tangent, raising their own funds to do their work, while the federal government is also raising funds to do the same work. Or is it what? We need clarification from the government. But this kind of things, I always point out, this kind of lack of synergy, this kind of, let me say, reckless statement that officials of government come out to make does not help the image of the government. It does not help the image of the country. So as of now, nobody really knows what is what or what is happening in terms of rehabilitating the ports, in terms of whether building even new ports or the funding for those things, other than those statements that have been put up in the public.
Now, honestly, we are blaming Ngelale, the spokesperson, to the president or to the presidency. Honestly, if we understand how the presidency works, we won't blame him. There is practically nothing, no info. Excuse me, no information goes out. None goes out without an approval. He does. Every press secretary does not to the president or to the presidency. Don't just go out to the press and just brandish informations at his or her will. No. Everything, there is decorum, there is orderliness, there is organization within the presidency. There is chain of command within the presidency. Even though he's the one heading his department, there is still chain of command. There's someone he's answerable to probably in another department. And in some cases, he's answerable to the president directly. It depends on their relationship. Some press secretaries have very good personal relationship with their boss. So he couldn't have, Ngilale, the press secretary, couldn't have gone to the public to make all these statements without an approval, without a green light from whoever is his boss. So I don't blame him. Anyway, the truth is, okay, technically he has some blame because he is a professional journalist. So he should know the ethics of journalism. There is ethics in every profession, just as in journalism as well. I expected him to, even if he's giving a go ahead on what to say to the public, he knows quite well that the information is not true. It behooves it's his responsibility as a professional there to call whoever is giving him that order, that instruction, to order. Just tell the president this is wrong or whatever, because at the end of the day, it will affect your image as a journalist. Because the presidency, he will serve there for 4 years or 8, and eventually go back to your profession. So what at the end of your 4 or 8 years, what becomes of your image as a journalist? So I don't know how some people think. Anyway, that is just that. Honestly, he has a very limited part of the blame in this whole thing. Everything boils down to the presidency.
Let me add that I specifically mentioned the issue of the relations between Nigeria and Dubai.
Yes.
To bring into focus that a similar woeful mistake had been made in the past. And yes, going forward, these people should be cautious of rushing to the press to make statements without clarifying. Assuming, and you are right to say that the spokesman of the president will not of his own go to the press to make statements. He will clarify and get approval from the president or the chief of staff to the president before going to the press with issues like that. But nothing stopped them, whether by himself or as a government, from telling the country the truth that, look, we want to negotiate a deal with MICE so that they can help rehabilitate our port. It will be understandable that the issue is we are going to negotiate, we are going to enter into discussions with them. That is understandable. It's a far call from saying we have secured that funding. And in the process, you want to show your countrymen and the rest of the world that, oh, even MICE are investing in Nigeria.
Yeah,
when I think a lot of other people are running, a lot of other multinationals are running from Nigeria.
Yeah, I think it's one. I'm actually coming to that, to the intention behind it, that it is not an innocent mistake. It is not. Now remember, I'll come back to that. Now remember that this is not the Dubai issue. It's not the only same issue that we can actually make reference to. Remember the Qatar issue too. the journey to Qatar, where the government came out and talked about traveling to Dubai to Qatar to sign a deal, a sort of. They were actually traveling, and remember what that journey, the entirety of that journey was shrouded in controversy as well. So the same thing. So this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, an illegitimate government at that, is just shrouded in all manner of corruption. Everything about this government reeks of corruption. What do you expect from someone? This is a problem. We definitely, the foundation. This can never be overemphasized. Foundation in every matter, in every business, in every transaction, in everything, every dealing, every activity in life matters. Foundation matters. When the foundation is wrong, is bad, you can't get anything good from the building. The building will also be bad, eventually be bad. And in some cases, we end up collapsing. So that is just the reality here. Bola Tinubu cannot, there's everything about Bola Tinubu as the president, as a human being, is all lies. His foundation is all covered in lies. His career covered in lies. His business covered in lies. His age covered in lies. His family lineage covered in lies. Everything about this man is just shrouded in lies and corruption and stench. And that is just it. Just imagine this kind of global embarrassment they are causing Nigeria. Nigeria, we have a very bad image of not doing things the right way. This government keeps piling up of this bad image on us. That is the point. What kind of embarrassment is there, for God's sake, for a president, for a presidency to come out with a deal that was not even close to being signed? For God's sake, not even close to. It was just a discussion. They had a discussion. They just mere discussion, not even close to being signed. So this brings me to the intention. Now, I don't know what they think about this. Why will they? Because obviously intention is to generate a kind of support and commendation to the illegitimate government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is just it. That for us, for the image, to project that image that this man is working, is doing the right thing. But again, I always think, because there are some lies you tell that you should have a level of confidence that this lie, even though it will eventually be uncovered, it will take a very, very long time, probably when you are no more in government or whatever. But not lies like this, for God's sake. How would you tell lies? Because the truth is, there are lies you tell that you feel secured somehow, but not lies that that will obviously will be met with swift rebuttal, swift controversy that people of the other side definitely will come. Which is exactly the time of Qatar. The same thing. The Qatar came out swiftly and said no. They denied the claim. And the time of when the issue of Dubai too came up, it was the same scenario. Now this one too, of course, because the other party will always, because the other party want to protect themselves, their image, definitely they will come out to deny that claim. And that's exactly what Musk did, for God's sake. Because Musk is a publicly quoted company. Of course, you sign something. Look at now, the thing affected, I think, with about 4 or 5% decline in their shares, their public shares. So that is the problem. That is the problem. Musk is a publicly quoted organization. You don't expect such information to go out, and it is not a true information. You expect mass to keep their mouth quiet. No, because to keep their mouth shut. No, because they have shareholders to answer to. Because the moment you mention such thing, shareholders, both the major and especially the major, the key shareholders want to find out, you have signed so deal. This is our company, for God's sake. How come we didn't know? And when you sign such a deal, people are expecting something. As shareholders, they are expecting something. So they had to go out publicly to deny this kind of outrageous claim, for God's sake. So honestly, this government is just it's a government that is just overwhelmed with incompetence. That's just the truth. Overwhelmed with incompetence and surrounded himself. The president has surrounded himself with mediocres, people who were not prepared, including beginning with him, not prepared actually to really lead this country the right way, but have all this mentality of coming to share our commonwealth. It is so unfortunate, so unfortunate that we have to do this. Look, you cannot, you can't get a good image. You can't build an image, a better image through the back door. There is a process to one building his or her image, and the process starts with telling the truth. The process starts with being transparent. This process starts with a perfect foundation, not for something full of lies or whatever. Like I said earlier, this man, the person where, like somebody like my in-law, an elderly man, who always tell me that we always have this issue of you know, go fit change this thing now, change that way. Why are you behaving this way or that way, whatever? And he will always tell me, say, look, they learn left hand, how to use left hand at old age. And that's the truth. So we cannot get anything good from this government, this Bola Tinubu. Again, I do not hate that man personally. I just hate his dispositions. I just hate everything, all the vices around him. That's what I hate. I don't hate him as a person. The moment Tinubu turns tomorrow and begins to do the right thing, I will be the one singing his praises. Unfortunately, I don't expect that from him, because he does not have the ability to do the right thing. He does not have the potential, the traits to do he does not have the iota of ability to do the right thing. And that is why I will never have confidence, because he doesn't have the capacity to do anything right. And that's just the truth. Let's move to the next one. So now let's go to another one again, another stench of this government. Barrister, earlier in the week, I think a few days ago, we had Peter Obi came out blazing with criticism of the government over Calabar. I think some 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about this Lagos Calabar coastal, but we talked about it in a vague, not in-depthly. We didn't give details or whatever. So he came out criticizing the government over the demolition. We all know what we all read and watched, what is going on with that road, the demolition of properties along the road. Peter Obi talked about the implication to the economy, economy in the sense of employment. That demolition along that road, because there are so many commercial activities along that road, or commercial properties along that road, that will be affected by this demolition, hence affecting so many affecting workforce of that area, in general, of the contracts, which we have eventually by default will affect the economy at large. So these are Obi's concern over this issue, that they should the government should prioritize the right things, not things like this. So please, can you give us your opinion on that, on either yes, opinion, the latest information on that, what you know about it, and that other and what and your thought about it, please.
Well, let me first come at this problem from the issue of demolition of properties to make way for the west east coast road. Personally, demolition of property to make way for road is not itself something bad, even economically. Taking into consideration the purpose and use and benefit to the economy that the road will provide. Having said that, and I'm saying it as a caveat, having said that, let us go into the actual issue of the west to east coastal road.
Yes.
The question is, considering the cost of the project, which is put at 15 trillion, is it our priority as a nation now? Now, when you want to look at it from this angle,
now, Barrister, sorry, before you go, sorry for interjecting. Now, because when this project was awarded, when I had the amount, I don't know, I can't remember Nigeria awarding a contract of such magnitude. Have you? Is there something that comes to mind when it comes to the amount, how big this contract is? Have we had a road construction awarded in this to the level of this to the level of such an amount? 15 billion naira.
Trillion.
I mean, sorry, I said billion. We've not.
I was going to come to that, and that is why I said, let's look at it whether it's a priority of the government vis-a-vis the amount that is budgeted for it. I tried to search to see if we have had a comparable project that costs a road project that cost that much in Nigeria, but up to this moment, I have not been able to lay my hands on anything like that. And don't forget, this 15 trillion is just estimates. In the way that Nigeria does its own business and the way contracts are done, before that road is finished,
yes,
that amount will double.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with
you. I can bet you that before the road is finished, probably 30 trillion would have been sunk into it, and the road will still not have been finished.
Right.
So come back again to the question, is it our national priority at this moment? And also relate to the fact that the national budget for this year is 27 trillion. Now, to commit more than half of the nation's yearly budget to a road, a single road, even if the road passes through many states, I still ask the question, is it our national priority at this moment?
No, that is not how sorry to cut you short, Barrister. That is not how that's not how construction project goes on. That's not how it goes. The truth is, they are not paying them full. I think they mobilize for this year. They'll be giving them about 1.something trillion. Yes, in the budget for this year.
That it is not in this year alone that they are going to commit 15 trillion. I know that one is going to be progressively over the years that the money will be budgeted for. Still, the sheer quantum of the amount for the single project is what I am focusing on.
Yeah, okay.
In the face of unrelenting poverty that we have in Nigeria today, I still ask, is that a priority? Shouldn't we be looking at projects that will have an immediate and direct impact on the average Nigerian? Now, a road project ordinarily, like I said at the beginning, is good for Nigerians, it's good for the economy. But every project, every construction project has to have what is called feasibility studies and impact studies, the impact on the economy. I have not seen where they have these feasibility studies and come out with, okay, this project, this gargantuan project of such magnitude, this is how it is going to impact the economy, whether in the short term or in the long term. We would have had the benefit, the Nigerian people should have been availed the benefit of such feasibility study, such studies to see and appreciate that project. We have not seen anything like that. We only woke up and say, okay, a contract has been awarded for the construction of Lagos Calabar coastal road. What is its impact on the economy? Have studies been done on that? Now, even if studies have been done, in the face of this unrelated poverty and economic challenge today, shouldn't we be focusing on projects that will bring immediate benefit to the economy? Those are questions that are out there. Now, coming to the issue of the road itself, the construction of that road has been awarded to high-tech construction. This high-tech is owned by Chagori, Gilbert Chagori. Now, this is a man that is associated with so much scandal and economic sabotage. He is alleged to be a convicted felon. He was alleged to be a launderer of money for Abacha during Abacha's regime. His family is alleged to have raised their capital from trading in heroin or trafficking in heroin. So there is something about this man that should, by now, the government should be cautious in awarding contracts to him. But the same Gilbert Chagori has so invested himself in the Nigerian society that almost all of them, the politicians and the high and mighty in Nigeria, are beholden to him. He is said to be an associate of the president. So when you look at it from that perspective, you begin to question the rationale of the project. Is this something that the president just wants to do to his associate, to his friend? Or is there something else? And secondly, if you know Eco Atlantic, the Eco Atlantic city, it is said to be owned by both the president and Chagori. And this road is going to impact that city. It's going to, the Eco Atlantic is going to be a major beneficiary of that road. So when you start putting all these things together,
hold on. I don't get it. A major beneficiary? How? Now, Eco Atlantic is on that same route. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about it being demolished as well, or benefiting from the road?
In terms of a vast road being opened,
okay,
in adjacent to the Eco Atlantic.
Okay.
It's like you build a house in the bush and then suddenly a very good road passes through, is constructed, passing through your road. Are you not going to benefit from it?
It gives more value to the
economy. It gives value to, So when you now begin to factor all these things in, you begin to ask questions whether it is those personal considerations that fueled the award of this contract at this point in time, or it is the national interest. So everybody who wants to criticize this project, they have good reason. Peter will be criticizing this project from the point of view of it not being a national priority at this time. Has good reason to do that. the person to whom the contract was awarded, does he have any pedigree in road construction? High-tech construction does not have any pedigree in road construction. As far as we know, the only road or major road they have been given was the Lekki Epe Expressway 13 years ago. Up to now, they have not completed that road. That road was a Lekki to Epe road was awarded to them 13 years ago. Up to today, they have not completed the road. So what is their pedigree in awarding a coastal road? And you know, a coastal road is not like any other road.
It's more complicated, of course.
The construction of a coastal road has far more technical challenges than any road in the hinterland. So do they have that capacity? In Nigeria, everybody knows that the foremost construction company in Nigeria is Julius Berger. We can see and point to what they have done. The construction have done in Nigeria. Everywhere you turn, you can see the hand. Can you see the same thing? Can you say the same thing of high-tech construction owned by Chagori? So there are good reasons for criticizing this project, even though there also is going to be beneficial. It's going to open up a channel or access between the east and the west along the coast. That is as far as it goes. But is there transparency in the award of this contract? Is there feasibility studies and impact assessment? Another issue is, you know, there is environmental impact assessment of every major project, how it will impact the environment. We have not been told whether a thorough environmental impact assessment has been made on that project. A journalist tried to question the Minister of Works, Dave Omahi. And the journalist happened to be speaking in a British accent. And he tried to parry it and say that he is the village boy, that he cannot hear phonetics. But what the journalist was trying to ask was, has there been an environmental impact assessment carried out on this measure? Because it's a requirement of law that every such project will have a thorough environmental impact assessment. Let's see how this will impact the environment along the full length of the place. Has that been done? So altogether, there is lack of transparency in all the issues associated with this contract. And then finally, a contract of this nature must have international bidding. Was it bidded for by reputable companies, or was it single-handedly awarded to this high-tech company? So all these issues have been shrouded in secrecy. And consider that in the normal way of doing things in Nigeria, you have never heard that a contract was awarded today and by next week demolition has started. So I'm curious to know, because there are several steps between the award of contract and the actual work being started. There are a lot of things that will happen before the contractor can mobilize to site. There are certificates of due compliance that will have to be issued by the due compliance office. There are payments that have to be made, whether by way of mobilization or otherwise. So you look at the time between when the contract was alleged to have been awarded, less than a week, and then you have started demolishing properties along the supposed route. How fast? So There are a lot of things that are not okay or are not transparent with this project. And like I keep saying, the government is not one that wants to be transparent, because I should not be here asking these questions. The government should have answered this question long before now. The government should have told the country, government should have told Nigerians, look, this is the benefit that the country will derive from this road. We have selected a world reputable construction company in a fair and transparent bidding to do the project. We have cross-checked in a fair and transparent manner the bidding process to attain a cost per value analysis of the project, and we have arrived at this amount of money, which we believe is fair for Nigeria to pay for this project. I should not be the one asking. This thing should have been in the public domain if the government wants to be transparent. But I'm here asking these questions because I do not know, and Nigerians do not know. So it's like everything was done under the table.
Honestly, I don't even know where to start on this because I have so much on my mind to actually spill on this issue. Now, you mentioned so many things that I was actually on my mind before you mentioned them. Like you said, the foundation of this whole thing reeks of corruption. The process reeks of corruption. And everything about it is just reeks of corruption. How can you award a contract of such magnitude, the largest road construction contract in the history of the country? One, it didn't pass through the right process. You just awarded it through the back door. There was no prior information on this project. Nothing was in the public. Projects like this of such magnitude, we are talking about the largest road construction project in Nigeria ever awarded in Nigeria. Yet it was not in the public domain. The proposal was not in the public domain. The process was not in the bidding process was not in the public. There was not even bidding. It was just awarded. And that is what that lady was trying to I've forgotten her name, journalist, who actually watched. In fact, she performed very, very smartly, intelligently. A journalist like that is just a new person in the business. For such person to have such kind of courage and tenacity, confidence to actually face an ex-governor and a serving minister, a powerful man like that, faced him and actually humbled him. It was so commendable. I wish I knew that lady in person. I would have given her a gift for what she did, honestly. So, and that was what the journalist was trying, that was the information I was trying to get from this arrogant, cocky minister of works that is so flippant, so he just talks anyhow. Of course, what do you expect? These are the Tinubu people. Anything that nothing good can ever come from Tinubu. That is just the truth. So, as you said earlier, the foundation of this, there was no bidding. They just awarded this project. That is one. Secondly, beyond that, we all know road construction before, just like you noted, you pointed out rightly, that you don't just award contract and you start demolition. Honestly, I was so shocked when I heard about this demolition. I was shocked to my bone marrow. We know what if after the award of constructions and contracts like this, it will take at least 6 months. At least. Most cases is even more. at least 6 months for one to hear that demolition have started. So the whole thing is just unbelievable. I wanted to they are not just associates. I think Tinubu has interest. I think that the company, he's part of the owner of that company as well. I think from a report that I read, he's part of the owner of that company. So they are not just personal friends. So that company is also a kind of technically, I think by the information I had, I think Tinubu has interest in that company. Of course, what do you expect? Of course, he will have, because except you have interest in things like this, you don't just throw caution to the winds. That is the point. So the truth is, everything about this whole thing is just not it. And secondly, how can the largest road construction ever in the history of the country, you are awarding it to a road that is not that important? There are so many priority roads in Nigeria. So many. Lagos Calabar Coastal, for waiting Calabar, for God's sake, waiting. What is Calabar giving? What is Calabar feeding the nation compared to the east, the eastern roads? Lagos to the east, all the key roads that are really generating revenue for the economy of the country. They disregarded those ones and now focused on a road that all roads are important. There's no, don't get me wrong, but Lagos Calabar Road, it is not. We have that should come under the list, at the bottom of the list of priority roads. We have roads that are seeking attention, federal government attention. They are in dire need of either repairs or total overhaul or new construction, or roads, areas that really need that, some linkages that really need new roads, open up new roads that can actually generate massive income to either the government or individuals. And you are bringing up such road that I don't get it. That it's so much. You see, my problem with this thing is this man is doing this thing with all impunity, or with all this impunity, because he knows he has done it to us before, and we didn't say anything. We didn't do anything. He will keep doing it. He knows he was not elected. Look, Bola Tinubu at this point is not doing anything to impress anyone, because he knows he cannot. He does not have the capacity to impress. That is just the truth. He does not. So what he's doing now, he's doing all this with all impunity, because he knows that he has trampled on us, on our interests before, and went scot-free with that. And he can do it again. And that's exactly what he's doing. He bulldozed himself, bought himself, paid his way to presidency, and Nigerians didn't say anything. Nigerians have gotten over it and they've moved on with their lives. Very, very bad. Regrettably, unfortunately, moved on with their lives. So he will do the same thing again come 2027, and Nigeria will move on with their lives. So that is his mentality, that is his thought, and that is his calculation. And he will keep doing all these things because Nigerians, we are so adaptive in nature. Unfortunately, we are adaptive in nature. Something negative hits us. Excuse me. Something negative hits us. Instead of us to actually confront this negativity and face it squarely, but no, we chicken out and adapt with the new situation. And every government, successful governments, they know, they have this in their head. They have this mentality. They know this is, of course, they are Nigerians too. So they know how we behave. They know how we act to things like this. And so that is the same time. Bola Tinubu knows even more, because anyone that is fraudulent in nature will always know people's and situation the weak point of situations and him and people. We know how to manipulate people, because when it comes to manipulation, corrupt people are the ones that knows how to manipulate people the best. And that's exactly what he's applying here. That is why he has all this, because everything about this thing, under a normal, a standard climb, you will have people, the populace, the public will go on rampage asking questions, going on protest peacefully. I don't know why Nigeria, that is the problem. This man bulldozed himself to office. There was no protest. Now he's doing all these things, just leading this country aground. Leading this country aground, no one is protesting. The moment you talk about this, people will say, what I want to do? May they go kill me, may they go do whatever. I get children. If they kill me, who will take care of my children? That is the problem we are facing in this country. No one wants to make sacrifice. And that is why we'll keep having this kind of leadership in our country until we learn to occupy the streets. Occupy the streets of the country in peaceful protest. I am not the kind of person that loves violence in any form or shape. For people who know me, I'm not a violent person. I live my life. I love peace. That's the truth. But the truth is, if we have a system that the leadership is just obviously throwing everything at us, everything negative, throwing everything negative at us, and we just sit to the back and keep taking it. I don't know when we Nigerians will come up boldly to say, no, we can't take it any longer. Enough of this impunity. Enough of this impunity. So this is just this whole role thing. And this Chagori of it, what do you expect? Chagori is known for corrupt. People around Tinubu are like they say birds of the same feather. They flock together. They say, show me your friend, and I will tell you who you are. Your friends, the people around you, defines your personality, defines who you are, defines your pedigree. And that is just the truth. So Chagori, just like you noted, it's a man that is so popular for all the wrong things, all negativities. Yeah, this is the person that is an associate of the president. I don't expect anything less. I don't expect anything less from the president, Bola Tinubu. I will never expect anything less. And that is just the unfortunate thing. Yes, you see, this is what Peter Obi was talking about. This issue of prioritization of, that is to tell you everything about this thing now. That road is not a priority road. That is one. Secondly, just like you noted, he has his property on that road, which by the virtue of construction, for the construction of that road, the property gains a humongous value, additional value. That is just it. And secondly, he has interest in this company. Can you imagine a big company like this, a big project like this was awarded to a company, a non-entity company in construction, in road construction, a company that is not known for this. For God's sake, a gigantic project, the biggest, largest road construction project in Nigeria. You are awarding it to a company, a non-entity in road construction. That is unbelievable. You wanted to say something, Barrister?
Yes, there are other issues on this contract that need to be highlighted. Number one, I'm not sure, and I stand to be corrected, whether this project was captured in this 2024 budget and funds were allocated to it. Number two, the government has not told Nigerians where it is going to source for 15 trillion to construct this road. And this point is important. As you know, we have been doing deficit budgeting for a couple of years now, which is funded in part by borrowing funds.
What do you mean by what do you mean by couple of years, Barrister? What are you talking about? We've been doing deficit budgeting for several years.
That's a couple of years and several years are almost the same thing. We are doing deficit budgeting. We are borrowing to fund the budget. The government has not told us where it is going to source for this humongous amount to construct this road. Now, finally, this road is between Lagos and Calabar. Now, Lagos is the center of commercial activity in Nigeria. A lot of mega businesses are scheduled to be demolished from the Lagos end to make way for this road. Now, common sense dictates that this road we are going to construct is going to take many years. It may possibly outlive this administration.
Yeah, it will. I'm sure, even though they say it's 8 years.
Why do we have to rush like an emergency to demolish properties from the Lagos end?
Honestly.
Why don't we start from the Calabar side?
That's a good point.
Why don't we start from the middle? In the middle of the bush,
yes,
coming.
That is it.
In the meantime, these people
God bless
that
you.
have
Yes.
in Lagos,
great point.
Have adequate notice to realign and relocate their businesses in a gradual manner. Why are we rushing? Why is it an emergency to demolish these businesses? Well, in any case, this road construction will not finish now. It will not come to use now. And it is not a must that the construction will start from this Lagos end. And many years will pass before the road can be put to use. For instance, if we start from the Calabar side or from the middle of in between and start coming, it could take 4 to 5 years, for instance, before you reach Lagos.
Yes.
Is it not wisdom determines that you do that and give these people whose projects are there legitimately with proper title to the land they have built these things? They have title to these lands. Why don't you give them these 4 to 5 years to realign their businesses to other places?
And relocate. Yes, relocate.
In a gradual manner that will not collapse their business. Why do you now, even when the contractor has not mobilized to site, go ahead and start demolishing properties? So you see the way we act, the government acts with impunity in Nigeria. This road is supposed to be for the benefit of Nigeria. Yes, the businesses that are being demolished are also for the benefit of Nigeria. They have employed Nigerians and they are contributing to the economy. So if we have a window where we can allow them to gradually relocate, why can't we give them?
That is it.
Why must we move with urgent haste?
Honestly, that is such point didn't even occur to me. That is a great point. That is a great point. That's another reason why this whole thing is just shrouded in a kind of evil secrecy, that we don't really know the intention, because it doesn't make sense. Truly, what you just made a very, very germane point. Probably the most important point. Because now you want to start this, there have been so many errors from the foundation up to this point. Now, I don't know, you added this error of starting from the wrong point. Looks like you said they could have started from the middle and bring it down to whatever, just like you noted. It could take years. Not it could. It will take years to actually get to Lagos, to the city. So, and now you started from the wrong point. Just like you noted, it would have given this one ample, give them probably notice, 3 years, 4 years to move and relocate conveniently to another place, so that their business, there will be no break in their business. Now you have just, I don't know, there is something behind this. There is something. It just, you cannot tell me that people are not smart around. Even I don't get it. It is not possible. Something is behind that. We will eventually find out why this whole thing is done this way, why it was done, it was awarded, and why it was the process for the for the execution of this construction was done. This was carried out this way. We'll find out. Trust Nigerians, things not they last for. You will eventually get the rots. The rots will come out to the public because it doesn't make sense. Truly, why will you start from the Lagos end? That's a very good question. Why will you start from the Lagos end when you have so many years to be able to get to that this road can be accessible? That is unbelievable. It's so sad. I think we have said enough on this issue. Let's move to the similar thing again. Let's move to NLC demand for minimum wage. Barrister, we know that Nigeria is rich enough to accommodate. Yeah, okay, 600. Some people, when they mention NLC, mention 600, they say, no, NLC, you have to be realistic now. Look, honestly, I am not in that league that would tell NLC to be realistic, because this is the reality of the strength of Nigeria. How big Nigeria is, the economy, how the potential we have. Nigeria is capable of paying this amount to its workforce. Now, remember, we are talking about the civil workforce. Now, Nigeria is much. Anyway, before I go into that, I want you to dissect this whole thing. What is your opinion? Are you in that same league that says that bashes or that cautions EFCC, telling them that this amount is outrageous? NLC, yeah, sorry, NLC. So, are you in that same category, or you feel this is the 600,000 is something that is achievable? What is your opinion on this?
My opinion is, number one, we are in a state of flux, a state of negotiation. I do not believe that the 650,000 that the NSC have suggested as the minimum wage is their final point. I believe it's a negotiating amount. But having said that, let me approach this from my own perspective, where the government got it wrong. Because the government is proposing and has even gone ahead to say that they have increased salaries and wages by between 25 to 35%. Now, the issue is the simple arithmetic says that you cannot raise the cost of living by 300% and go and increase the salary by 25% to 30%. This is not arithmetic. You have raised the cost of living by over 300%. In increasing the cost of fuel, you are directly raised the cost of living by equivalent percentage in the rise in the price of energy, fuel, diesel, kerosene, PMS, and allied products have been raised by over 300%. That has impacted the cost of living by an equivalent percentage. So you now come to raise wages. The basic thing is that you must raise the wages to meet the basic cost of living that you have hiked. Then you say, no, we are going to increase it by 20. The cost of the wages will increase it by 25 to 35%. But the cost of your existence will increase it by 300%. Now, where does that happen? Who is going to cover the 265% for the workers? They are getting an increase of 25 to 35%, but their cost of living has been raised by 300%. How are they to cover for the balance? So you can see from where the NLC has done their calculation to come up with the figure of 650,000 naira as minimum wage. However, knowing the country, the kind of country we have, the resources that Nigeria have, that amount that NSC have put forward is feasible, but only on certain conditions. And the conditions are the dissolution of the current political structures in the country, throughout the country. As long as we operate the current system of government with the political structures we have, there is no way that there will be funds to pay that kind of minimum wage. You are going to have to settle the politicians, the governors, their advisors. Their advisors, they settle their own advisors. In that way, it is a chain of a settlement, all down to the supporters, the acolytes. So unless the entire country is restructured and we do away with the current political system, we do away with the current wastages in the system, we reduce and remove
now, Barrister, sorry to cut you short. Now let me tell you one. Look, we don't need to go that far to achieve this 100. My own solution is simple. Very simple. Honestly. Now, we are talking about civil servants. Remember, the civil service workforce is not the main workforce is the private sector. Those are the ones that are really employing the entire that is what is holding the economy. So we are not talking about this category of workers. We're talking about the civil servants. Civil service in the workforce, I think how many percent? I think about between 1% and 5% of the workforce. That is what the civil service can take. Okay, that's what the civil service takes.
You are not getting the fact that by law, if a minimum wage is fixed, it also affects the private sector. So if the government has set 650,000 as minimum wage, the private sector is obliged to also pay it. That is the law.
Okay, that is okay. You as a lawyer, you understand that, but unfortunately, I didn't say it that way. I didn't see that way because obviously, yes, private sector cannot pay 600 minimum wage. But no, but we know, yeah, by law, you are talking by law, but you know that this minimum wage from the inception, even when passing it into law, we have never had this issue of applying it to private sector because private sector is a completely different ball game because you have to give what you have. You cannot give out what you don't have. But in this case, government has it. We're not telling government, give the people who are actually holding the system, moving the system forward, the engine power of the system. We are not saying they are asking you to give them what they desire, what they know that you have. They are the ones in the system. They know what the system has. So, and that is just the truth. So the government can do that. Now, I was coming to the point of how they can do that. Honestly, we don't need to bulldoze the system or revamp, overhaul the system to achieve this. Because like I said, it's just the civil service workforce. That's just it. Taking care of the civil service workforce, Nigeria has what it takes. The private sector, not all, in the private sector, not all has what it takes to achieve this. But government has all it takes to achieve it. All we need to do is to curb corruption. Look, even with this kind of chain of duplicity in governance, where you have an advisor having his own advisor having his own another advisor, this chain of duplicity in the system, honestly, even with that, if people resist the temptation of taking the money that is not legally due to them, honestly, if we can curb this, look, we have, when we talk, this corruption we're talking about runs into trillions of naira every year. Runs into trillions of naira every year. That is, when we say trillions of naira, that is money that people have dipped their hands into the treasury to loot, That is not for them. Barrister, if only we can do that, we can curb that, even though with all this chain of duplicity in the workforce, in governance, where you have aides that have multiple aides, that also have multiple aides that are not necessary, that are redundant, doing nothing. So many of them operate from the home. They don't even go to the office. From their homes, I mean, they don't even go to the office for sometimes weeks. Sort of. Even at that, if they can stick to what is legally or legitimately theirs, the resources that are honestly, the remaining resources can take care of these civil servants at $600, 600,000 naira minimum wage. I am telling you, because what we have, the corruption we are facing in this country, financial corruption, runs into trillions annually. Can you? These trillions we are talking about is capable, is big enough, is huge, an amount enough to take care of these civil servants at 600,000 naira minimum wage. So we don't need to revamp the entire system, which you and I know can never happen. So that is what we need, is just this issue of let people checks and balances. Checks and balances. Stop people, block all loopholes that leads to people dipping their hands in the public treasury to loot funds conveniently. The system is so porous that how can a minister, how can a director or a DG or a PAMSEC just arbitrarily dip his or her hand into the treasury and loot funds, transfer funds from one account? What kind of system is that? It's so porous. We are supposed to have a chain of command that you have to pass through several layers of authority before you can be able to, someone can even be able to sign a check or move money from one point to the other. But no, the system is poor. So if we can block those loopholes and limit every worker, every public servant to his or her due wage or wages, honestly, the government can pay conveniently and comfortably, can pay 600,000 minimum wage. Just like you noted, I know, of course, NLC use that as a starting point for the negotiation. But I know it's the starting point, but honestly, even at that, I know that we can achieve that. Nigeria can afford that conveniently. All we need is for people to be content with what they have.
Let's not forget, I'm all for increase in the minimum wage. I'm all for increase in salaries and allowances of our public servants. But in economic terms, there is no way that we can lift the minimum wage from what it is today to 600 and something thousand. That will turn everything on its own head. There is no point in increasing your minimum wage or your salary by 100% when inflation would take 150%. So it will be as if you have taken one step forward and two steps backwards. If we are going to increase anything like that from what we have 30,000 today to 600, the kind of inflation, not super hyper inflation that we'll have in Nigeria will wipe away all the purchasing power that increase has given to the workers. So let us be cautious. And again, let me emphasize that the minimum wage is not only for local federal government workers. By law, it will affect the state government workers, it will affect local government workers, and it affects the private sector. Once the minimum wage is proclaimed by law, all employers of labor are obliged by law to pay their workers the minimum wage. As we speak today, most state governments are struggling with payment of salaries.
Yeah, that's because of corruption, barrister. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
it's because of corruption.
I wholeheartedly agree that corruption forms a substantial part of the problem, a substantial part of that problem, but it's not the sole issue. It's not the sole issue. Some governments have done what they call they check their employees repeatedly in order to bring down the wage bill. Some state governments are paying 4 to 5 to 6, 7 billion monthly as wages for their employees. And their corresponding income, if you put the federal allocation, for instance, you take Kaduna State, its wage bill is almost about 7 billion, and it's getting about 9 billion from the federation account. It already has a mountain of debts, both local and foreign, to take care of.
It boils down to corruption. That's boiling down to corruption.
It is what has already happened. The corruption you are talking about is the one that will come in the future. There's corruption that has already been built into our system. You cannot go back and unravel it. It's over 60 years that the corruption has built in foreign loans that were taken by the federal government, by the state governments, that they now have to pay from their income, local loans that they have taken, and contractors that have not been paid. All these have built in on their cost. So when you get the allocation from the federation account, some of them, assuming your allocation is 9 billion, you end up coming home with less than a billion. So you are going to struggle to pay the salaries. Now, if it were to be increased astronomically, there's no way these states can pay, unless, like I said, we dissolve the structures that we have now, because they perpetuate the corruption that you are talking about. The structures as we have now, if they remain, even without corruption, it is going to be difficult to achieve a minimum wage of 600,000. It will be virtually impossible. Even if corruption has been reduced, you cannot wipe out corruption completely, but you can reduce it to the barest minimum. If we still have the structures we have in Nigeria today, it's going to be difficult to pay that kind of minimum wage. We have to re-engineer the society. For God's sake, we have over 600 and something federal government parastatals alone. Some of them, their functions overlap.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need this. The Orosanya report has been lying in the dust for years. Cancel some of these things, merge some of these agencies and parastatals. The government does not have the
will.
The will to do that. Take the case of road traffic. The federal government has road safety throughout the country. Each state has its own road safety within the state. So they are doing the same functions. They are carrying out parallel functions. Take the National Security and Defense Council. Take the police and other security agencies. They are all doing the same, virtually the same functions. So the parastatals are so many, the ministries are so many. If you remove some of these parastatals, you cancel some of them, you merge some of them. Because when you have a parastatal, you have the chief executive, you have the directing officials. All of them, for instance, you buy Toyota Land Cruiser Jeeps for all the top management. These jeeps are now 100 and something million. The National Assembly, for instance, the House of Reps, they bought jeeps of about 150 million for each of them. One jeep for 150 million for each member. I don't know how much they bought for the senators. Then you have the ministers. You have special assistant to the senior special assistant, junior. They are all over the country. As you are seeing at the federal government, they are replicating at the state government. So if we continue with this structure, and even with this, they are still hungry. They are not satisfied.
Honestly.
So as long as we maintain these structures, the workers will be the worst for it. They cannot get a living wage because we have to deal with these structures. We have to deal with the politicians, and we have to maintain these structures.
Anyway, I think you have said it all. This brings us to the end of the show. Once again, viewers, you've been watching Barrister Austin Manta actually dissect the worry, the concerns in the Nigerian polity. So my name is JIBRIN, and this is JIBRIN Angle on OWELEKETV. So I think this brings us to the end of the show for today. Next week, I'm trying to, maybe we'll be talking about US, not the US, we'll be talking about US politics, but I want us to actually juxtapose it, put it side by side in comparison with what is going on in Nigeria, with Nigerian leadership and what is going on in Nigeria. I think we have a lot of similarities going on between Nigerian government and governance and dispositions as well, and that of the US. We have a lot of similarities. So it was last week I wanted to bring you up, but it's still in the offing. We need to really talk about it, but I'm trying to get the right time to, but I think I'm suspecting if plans doesn't change, we will be talking about the Nigeria US politics next week. But US politics, we're not focusing on US, but the problem why we'll be talking about it is to actually mirror it on Nigerian situation. So viewers, in case you want to hear more about watch this what I just mentioned, the topic, please stay tuned and subscribe and set on your notification bell so that whenever we are done with it, we upload it, you'll be notified to watch it. And again, for those of you who, even if you don't have interest in the topic that we're expected to discuss next week, there are so many other topics, so many things we discuss on this show and on the channel itself, Oweleke TV. Subscribe and set on your notification bell. Follow us on all our platforms, and you will be glad you did. There's other interesting programs that you can actually, because this is the Oweleke TV platform is a platform that actually that spreads across all interests. We feature virtually everything and anything that applies to the public. So we are not limited to just certain or specific line, but we are broad in our concept. We are broad in our disposition. So if you are into politics, follow this channel. You will enjoy the channel as well. If you are into entertainment, follow this channel. You will get all the entertainment news and gist or whatever. If you're into gossip and whatever, we have segments, we have programs that features all of this or whatever. And anything and any area or whatever, you will definitely find something that suits your interest, I assure you. So once again, thank you for joining us. For those of you who have been with us all the way, thank you for supporting us. And those of you who will be joining us, we appreciate that you are joining us. And those of you who are still or whatever, we urge you to join and subscribe and follow us on all our platforms, and you'll be glad you did. Once again, Barrister Austin Manta again. Barrister Austin Manta is a legal practitioner. I refer to him as an icon and someone who has a very, very high legal pedigree that I respect so much. He's been in the legal practice for almost 4 decades now. And we appreciate him for always being there for us, gracing our screen. And whenever we need him, he's always heeding to our call. Thank you once again, Barrister Austin Manta.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, see you next time, and remain blessed.